Hello, my name is Craig Resnick with the ARC Advisory Group at the 2017 ARC Industry Forum in Orlando, Florida. With me today is my special guest, Dawn Pearson, Chief Strategy Officer of Inductive Automation. How are you doing today, Dawn?
Really good. Thanks for having me.
You know, there was certainly, as you certainly have experienced, lots of interest in the industrial Internet of Things in 2016. What do you see going forward for the industrial Internet of Things in 2017?
Well, I think one of the things that we see, and it certainly has played well for us, is that the industrial Internet of Things has brought a real need for a new architecture, a new look at how architect. You know, if you think of a more traditional architecture, more conventional, it has your devices connected to your applications. And if you want to add more applications, you got to connect them up one at a time. And it creates sort of this old mishmash type, not very efficient, not very easy to manage kind of architecture. So the shift to the new architecture, we think, is a very important shift, where you really are decoupling those devices from those applications, and you can bring your data into the enterprise as an asset. And if you do that, then it goes where it needs to go in the enterprise, which is necessary for IoT solutions. So we think that architecture shift is really important, and I think you mentioned sometimes always to give a success or something, but we've seen that decoupling for ourselves work with an oil and gas customer up in Calgary that's sort of a pipeline company, and they were able to take this sort of message-oriented middleware architecture, and they were able to take they have 8,000 kilometers of pipeline all over the place they're trying to monitor. And they had situations where they'd turn on a valve, and 15 minutes later they'd find out if it really turned on or not, using a stopwatch, for God's sakes. So with this architecture and the Ignition platform, we're able to move that from 15 minutes to sub 15 seconds. And I think that this is the kind of speed and accessibility that we're going to see demanded of by IoT folks seeking solutions.
You know, one of the topics that's also been very popular here at the forum this year is devices and moving information to the edge. What's your opinion as far as that trend, and what does inductive automation offer regarding edge devices?
Well, as far as the opinion on the trend, I think it's going to happen, Greg. I mean, if you really think about it, the operations technology people who are controlling the equipment at the edge is where the data is. So you got to move things to the edge. You got to start polling closer to the edge rather than in this SCADA system. We actually, at the press conference earlier today, or yesterday it was, and with our own product line development, are releasing a line of products called Ignition Edge. And because we believe it's so important. And they're Ignition Panel, Ignition Enterprise, and Ignition for MQTT by CirrusLink Solutions. The whole point is, Panel gives you the HMI. The Enterprise gives you edge connectivity into the enterprise at a price point that works. And MQTT gives you the connectivity of a transport protocol that's lightweight, works perfectly for the kind of demand level that IoT solutions are going to require at the edge. So I think we've got to get that 90% of data that's stranded at the edge into the enterprise where it can do some good. And that's why we launched the line of Ignition Edge solutions. And that's why I think Edge is not going to go away. We got to connect those devices into the enterprise where the data can do some good.
You know, for you to deliver all these solutions, there's obviously you're developing a lot of them organically, but there's also solutions that you're developing through partnerships. Describe some of the partnerships that you've undertaken and how that's going to affect your product offering.
I mean, I think it's really important that the partnership, because we're not going this alone. I mean, we're talking about modular, interoperable, open standards, those kind of things. And I would say this about partnerships. I think we're not very much into the 25-page, heavy cost, heavy documentation. Our partnerships are more collaborations. The first one I'd say is the integrator partners. We've got 1,400 integrators around the world, and those integrators are really our strategic partners. We give them free support. We give them good discounts, because really they're the way to get to the market. They bring subject matter expertise, geographical distribution for delivery, and we really value the integrators. Secondly, we have a couple of very key technology strategic partners. Sepasoft on the MES module suite. They used our API, developed the modules. Same thing with CirrusLink Solutions, took the API, developed the MQTT modules for Ignition and the one for the MQTT Edge product. So those are really important strategic partnerships. And what's happening with that is if you're going to the edge, you got to make it so OEMs can take advantage of it. So you're seeing companies in what we're calling just kind of this ecosystem emerge, where companies like Opto22 and Moxa and Hilscher and Alexis, and these guys are developing using MQTT at the edge capabilities to bring the data into the enterprise. It gets to the Ignition platform, and that ecosystem builds out that empowers the enterprise capabilities of IoT. I think between integrators, our technology partners, and ecosystem partners, it's going to be critical to team up to bring the best solution to that eventual consumer, which is that industrial organization.
Now, I know you had a number of accomplishments in 2016. I know you had very, very strong growth in 2016. What are some of your initiatives in 2017 that's going to enable you to continue that very high rate of growth?
Well, that's always a good question to ask, because it's always, what have you done for me lately? What's coming on now? I have to start with saying there's one initiative we have that's not going to go away, and that is our disruptive and unique licensing model, because I think it's going to continue to drive. You can't get to IoT at the edge if you're going to break the bank for every connection. And frankly, unlimited licensing is not about as much tags and clients now as it is even device connections. You've got to unleash the device connections. So I think that's one thing. But also, we launched in fourth quarter of last year version 7.9 for Ignition. And that allowed us to do a couple of things. One is, when you're going enterprise-wide, we had to really be able to manage large numbers of gateways. And that means the health of the gateway, the metrics of the gateway, easy troubleshooting tools. So we retooled the entire Ignition gateway to be able to do that, and added lots of distributed services. So our Ignition gateway now allows you to, the gateway network, you can get to, I don't care, 100 million tag solution, and have those tags available and able to give information and two-way, bidirectional, in real time, for really good decision-making on the part of executives. So I think to build out IoT, you had to really get to the point where you could both scale up and scale out. Our CEO made the comment that this is the friction-reducing version of Ignition, because we really felt for that kind of scale, you had to even take more friction out of the implementations.
Mm-hmm. Now, last question would be, is there's things that are obviously in control, such as what you're doing at Inductive Automation, and having a lot of success with it. There's also going to be some, what type of global headwinds you may be anticipating that you can prepare yourself for? At the same time, do you see some economic tailwinds also that you can help take advantage of as you look forward in 2017 and beyond?
It's always something you want to look at if you're involved in the strategy and the development of those plans for the new year. One of them I have to give ARC maybe at least partial credit for is, this is my third year I've heard presentations from ExxonMobil going back to their first study of where open process automation needed to go. It built last year and increased this year. That open process automation forum and the initiative, we joined that group, we're involved in the group, we think being part of that process is important, but also it positions us really well. I mean, with our licensing model, with our technology model being interoperable and cross-platform, I mean, we're saying we were built on IT technologies, and we're totally in favor of an open, interoperable, secure, standards-based. So that initiative to us is a tailwind. On the headwind side, it's funny going to all these open forum meetings and stuff, Craig, you see the different perspectives that people have, the different challenges companies have. And frankly, I think some people that have an older business model, they've got legacy revenue streams, legacy business model, and legacy technology. Sometimes the legacy technology is the easier one to change because they've been successful with an old model. They don't want to change it. But frankly, the headwind to other companies is a tailwind to us. We don't have that legacy, and so we feel being open and interoperable, standards-based, and sort of database-centric from day one turns out to be a tailwind for us too. We're kind of excited about the trends in the industry. You guys are always on the forefront with ARC, and we feel like that process is one we're part of. Also, just as a total final note to finish off, we started getting constrained, so we all, in December of this year, we finished closing escrow on a nearly 60,000 square foot building for establishing corporate headquarters for Inductive Automation. We were stacking people on top of each other. The lease was coming to the end, and we went, you know what? We're going to be here a while. Let's get ourselves established. Let's get ourselves a new home, and let's set up shop in Folsom. So by mid-year this year, we'll have another tailwind, which is opening up for growth. We can put several hundred people in this building, and we're very excited about the tailwinds of technology also, kind of pushing us along the way too.
Well, that's great. Look forward to seeing your new facility, and good luck. Good luck.
You're
with
welcome to come there. Thanks.
Absolutely, I certainly will. This is Craig Resnick with the ARC Advisory Group's 2017 Orlando Forum. Thanks, and have a great day.